Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Instead of today's video, I'm going to be taking a look at 10 buffs and 10 nerfs that I want to see with the next set of balance changes. I haven't done this for a little while, and funnily enough, when I asked you guys which video you want me to put out, this was probably one of the most heavily requested ones. So I'll do this for you guys. These are some brawlers that just desperately need a nerf, and of course, really terrible in the meta for a long while and need a buff. So let's just start off with the nerfs then, because there's quite a few brawlers that are starting to become a little bit too toxic in the meta, and the first one has to be Charlie. Charlie, since the range buff has just been too good for too long now, I don't think messing with her range is really going to do her any favors, because when they do, she becomes quickly one of the worst brawlers inside of the game. So I think that they need to nerf her HP. Let's face it, like, she doesn't need 7,000 health with such good range and such good anti-tank capabilities. I think at least nerfing it by 500, I'd say 600 is a sweet spot, and that would be able to turn Charlie down a little bit. Like, I still think she'll be like an 8-tier brawler, but she just has way too much health. So with Kaze, still the common opinion here is that Kaze is not like a top 3 brawler in the games for some reason, but I think she's absolutely insane, and it has to do because of her hypercharge rate. So they only nerfed it by a little bit. I think it went from 1.8 supers to 2.2 supers. That's just not enough. A brawler shouldn't be able to get that hypercharge so quickly, and especially because of the ninja hypercharge super. So the first nerf, if you didn't want to nerf her in multiple ways, would just simply change this to 3 supers at least. Because again, like, you should be able to get maybe like 1 hypercharge in the game, 2 if you play it really well, but you can easily get 2 hypercharges whilst playing poorly. So she definitely needs that. So we have Draco. So Draco's hypercharge is still disgustingly broken. So they need to do one of 2 things. Well, actually, could maybe be 3 things. One thing is that in general, tanks getting their hypercharges through taking damage is just too much. But if they're not going to nerf that, I don't know how many times they need to ask for it. They need to nerf his hypercharge rate. Like, it takes 4 supers to get, but because of the tank trait, he's able to cycle through multiple hypercharges in the game still, or which I think they probably won't do, is nerf the hypercharge just plain and simple, because it fires out way too many flames. There needs to be nerfed the amount of flames that come out the hypercharge. Just, it's too strong. Even though they nerf the damage to 5%, it's still absurd how quickly you get melted. It is next hopefully on the nerf list, and with Lily, it has to be with a hypercharge again. It is just way too strong. It is so easy to hit. I would actually like just a slight nerf to how fast the hypercharge super is, because it connects way too easily. Just a slight one, but they probably won't do that. So at least nerfing the hypercharge rate to 4 supers again, because 3 supers with Lily is just far too easy to get, especially because of the Vanish gadget. You're able to cycle through 2-3 hypercharges in the game with ease. Next up, hopefully on the nerf list, it is Shade. So I'm asking for another Shade nerf. He's not like crazy broken, but the hypercharge itself definitely is. Especially on a select few maps, he's just far too strong, because dealing 4k damage is just absurd. So the first one, I would actually like to see a nerf to his hypercharge damage boost. He should just not be doing that amount of damage. Like, let's make it so he deals like 3.6k probably a hit, 3.8k. Like, can't be 4k. It's just far too much. And then I would like a hypercharge nerf, just simply in terms of the fact that it takes 2.5 supers to charge up his hypercharge. It should be 3 supers easily, because you can cycle through multiple hypercharges in a game easily. Next up, hopefully on the nerf list, we have Cordelius. So I know what you're thinking straight away, well, Cordelius has only just became meta. Well, he is definitely too toxic in a 1 versus 1. He should never be this powerful. So let's just say in between. So I think previously he was 1.4k damage a shot, I'm pretty sure. Right now it's 1.6k anyways. It should be about 1.5k damage. Let's see if there's like a sweet spot here where, you know, he still has the damage to kill brawlers in 1 versus 1, but he doesn't just have the power to just run at them no matter what and just kill them, because Cordelius is top 3 brawler in the game right now. The damage is just far too much, especially when you add on the star power, you add on the damage gear, hypercharge, etc. He just rips through everything. Luby is next on the nerf list, and I feel like I'm a broken record at this point. Month after month, she still needs a big nerf. So again, I think it has to be, I've already spoke about multiple ways with her recall damage, with her star power that slows, etc. I think another nerf, again, it has to be this gadget. I know the gadget duration is pretty long at the moment. I think it's like 22 seconds, but I think we should nerf the duration. I know this could make it pretty terrible, but just simply, they need to change it mechanically. It's far too strong. Too many loose supers is just such a broken gadget when you think about it. It's so toxic. So let's nerf it to 3 seconds. Right now it's about 4 seconds. Nerf it to 3. See where it lands there. So if they're not willing to make the mechanical changes, we need a duration nerf. Bonnie is next on the nerf list, and again, she's easily a top 5 brawler inside of the game right now, and that's thanks to her hypercharge. Her hypercharge is one of the most broken ones inside of the game. There's 0 counterplay to it pretty much, really, outside of maybe like a few brawlers that can jump away, etc. So the hypercharge rate, again, it needs to go to like 4 supers. It's just too powerful of a hypercharge. Brawl Stars course, aren't nerfing the hypercharges themselves, which I would, of course, like on pretty much all of these. So for now, we're just got to make do with it being 4 supers. So it might take a long while to get, but Bonnie was still pretty decent without her hypercharge already. So I don't think she'll suffer with this nerf too much. And lastly, on my nerf wish list, we have Crow. So again, Crow has only just became meta, and he's not exactly the most toxic brawler in the world. So I just like a smaller nerf with him, and that's to do with his shield gadget duration. So right now it's 15 seconds. I think that is just too spammy, especially for a pretty good shield now that he's a half tank. He's not really tanky brawler, but get what I mean. He's no longer squishy. So I think just nerfing this to around 18 seconds or 19 seconds instead of 15 should be pretty nice, and you'll still be like an A or S tier brawler in the meta. Next up, I'm hoping for a nerf with Kit. So Kit's hypercharge is just broken. Wow, what? Kit's hypercharge is broken? Hypercharges are broken? I never would have known that. I'm losing my mind here with these hypercharges, but Kit's hypercharge rate is about 2.5 supers right now. That is just far too quick. It takes, I think, 8 hits. Well, no, I think it's 10 hits to get. That's just far too quick. So we need a big nerf. We need this to like 4 supers, because again, we're not looking to nerf it mechanically, even though I'd like that, because Kit should never be an assassin. The stun is just way too toxic. So let's just nerf the hypercharge rate and just kill it at that point. All right, now let's move into the buffs, which I want to see with the update. And again, I didn't actually speak about when the update is probably coming out. It's probably going to be towards the end of August, unless they just make some balance changes in the next week or so. But yeah, let's start off with Grom. So Grom right now just isn't good in the meta. He's good low down in trophies, so that's probably why they're being cautious with Grom and not really buffing him at all. But I think they need to be buffing his projectile speed. But I'm not talking anything crazy. I think they should just try and find the sweet spot. So even like the smallest of buffs ever, just to make him feel a little bit better. I would like that. I would appreciate that. So I'm talking somewhere from 1 to 3%. I know that's like such a small buff, but buffing the projectile speed too much in the past has just made him way too good of a brawler. So let's just try and find this sweet spot, please. It's just so hard to hit shots against good players. Next up, I'm hoping for a buff with Pearl. And I know what you guys are thinking. Well, Pearl's been meta for a very long time. It's probably the first meta where Pearl isn't really that usable in Knockout and Bounty. But I think she's never really been good for the casuals. So it's about time we need a Pearl buff. So my one that she definitely needs pretty soon is a buff to her hypercharge, because it's terrible. But I honestly just think even making her heat up like 1 second faster, I think that's probably the big problem with her, is that she just is too much aggression and she never gets a chance to fully heat up. So yeah, just 1 second faster, I think that will push Pearl back into the meta without making her toxic. Leon is next on the buff wish list, and hopefully Leon gets a buff to his super duration. So I was trying to think of ways to make Leon good without being boring. Like his damage buff, yeah, that's just a buff that every assassin seems to get. So buffing his super, I think right now it's 6 seconds, so just 7 seconds, just an extra, like it's nothing crazy. And Leon's whole point is being invisible, this invisible assassin, and it just seems to have been power crept in a sense. Like there's so many brawlers that just have invisibility around them. Like you've literally got Kit and Juju that can just pop invis with a click of a button. You've got like Lily with Vanity, like etc. So let's buff his invisibility. I know it's a toxic thing in the game, but that's the reason why you use Leon, right? Next up, I'm hoping for a buff with Poco. So Poco has fallen down drastically in the meta. Ever since they nerfed both of his gadget durations, he's just not really been usable whatsoever. So Poco is used as a healer, right? But I don't really see his healing being that strong. So I've got to do one or two things. I think healing his star power, I forgot what it's actually called. The one that heals your, I think it's the capo, that heals your teammates. Because I always use Screeching solo, but Poco should be a healer, right? So he should have good. I don't think the capo's worth ever using. He doesn't actually feel like a healer with that star power. So let's buff the healing of that star power just a little bit maybe, or maybe just buffing his super healing. So it's just a bit more impactful. Again, he should be more of a healer, and it just isn't really that. He was more of just a gadget warrior. So next up, I'm hoping for a buff with a Surge, and this is a really tough one. Honestly, I couldn't really think of a buff which isn't just boring and which wouldn't just catapult him to the top of the meta pretty easily. So the easy one would just be buffing his HP a little bit. Like that would easily make him a stronger brawler in the meta. I honestly think, like, I don't really agree with buffing hypercharge rates really, but I think Surge probably needs it. His hypercharge is pretty good, but it's nothing crazy. It normally only has 3 pieces of ammo to make work. Like I'm finding his hypercharge was very overrated on release. Like it was flashy, but because it was Surge, people overreacted. So let's buff his hypercharge rate a little bit and see where he lands. For the buff wish list, we have Maisy. So I feel like I've been asking for a Maisy buff for like a year now, and still I'm going to say that she needs a range buff just a little bit. If you watched my stream yesterday, you'd know how hard Maisy is to hit shots with, especially against just competent players that open their eyes. She's just impossible to hit. So let's just buff her range a little bit, so at least she can like keep her distance. Like, she's supposed to be a marksman, like that's her class, and she just gets outclassed by everything. Like, everything seems to outrange this brawler. So I don't think there's enough reward for the risk of using Maisy, because she's such a hard brawler to hit with. So yeah, let's buff her range. Next up on the buff wish list, we have Clancy. So Clancy has just been at the D tier or F tier in the meta for a while now. They really heavily nerf this lobster, but I think probably the best way to go about it is buffing maybe his level 1 damage, or just reverting some of his previous nerfs in the past. There's quite a few of them, which I haven't even got them next to me because there's so many of them. So starting to slowly revert some of the nerfs. I don't really want Clancy to be too good in the meta because his super's too strong. So maybe like nerf it. Like if he ever becomes strong again, I think we should nerf his super, because that is by far the most toxic thing about him. But anyways, he definitely needs a buff, because even his hypercharge isn't actually as good as I thought it would be. Next up on the buff list, we have Lola. So Lola has dropped down the meta a lot. She's not really seen in pro play whatsoever, and she used to always be a good draft brawler. Like, you could always just consistently go Lola and know you'll get value. I think the main problem has to be a hypercharge, and a hypercharge isn't even that good, to be honest. I knew it wouldn't be good. People thought it was going to be amazing. I don't know why. So they made their hypercharge take, I think, 4 supers to get. Let's just buff it to 3 supers, because really I don't think it's actually that good. I mean, it can be good, but it just gets destroyed pretty easily. So let's just buff it. I don't think it'll be too toxic, so I don't think that would do like a lot to Lola. Next up on the buff list, we have Biby, and I think Biby is one of the brawlers that has been needing like a little rework, or just something a little bit extra to her kit for a long time, because she gets outranged so easily. She's such a fun brawler to play, so I don't want her to change too much kit wise, but I think she gets far too outclassed for like years now in competitive play. I don't remember the last Biby I really saw. I bet there was literally less than 5 Biby picks in 3 years in BSC. So I think there could be a few things. So one thing is buffing her shield star power, because it's just not useful whatsoever right now, and it's hard to get value with it, because most of the time you just want to be using your knockback, right? So that takes away the shield. Let's buff the bat and sand star power to 30% damage reduction. I think that is a good start, and then maybe buff her HP on top of that. I think her health has always needed a buff, because again, she gets outranged so easily. She can't even close the gap onto people because she gets shredded. And I actually had a few ways, if you know, if they wanted to actually rework this brawler a little bit, I've got a few ways they could do that. So the first one is maybe just buffing her animation. So you know how it just takes so long for the swing to actually come out? Why not just buff the, what do you call it, like unload speed just a little bit? Like, I don't want it to be too strong, but you think of brawlers like Kenji, for example, like he can just slash and dash so quickly in comparison to like Biby. Or they could honestly make her knockback range a little bit longer. So again, don't want her to be too toxic, but her range is just so limited. So allowing her, when she has a knockback, to have that extra bit of range, I think that could be a good rework. So I think Biby's one brawler that just desperately needs some love. Lastly on the buff list, we have Otis. So Otis has just been falling down the meta dramatically. You know it's bad when like Humble don't even use Otis too much anymore, and yeah, the EU's just not been using Otis. He was a very map dependent brawler, but I just think he just lacks the takedown potential. It just takes so long for him to get super. His hypercharge can be okay, but it's just not that flashy. It doesn't equal a team wipe, it just equals a kill. So I think the boring thing here is just to buff his damage, just because again I feel like he gets overwhelmed so easily, so at least it'll allow him to compete. But again, I think Otis is another brawler that just fundamentally needs something changing in his kit to make him more appealing to play, because he's pretty boring. So yeah, that's gonna be it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. So a lot of buffs and nerfs that I want to see. Of course, there could be quite a few that I'll be wanting, but I just think that the dev time right now for Brawls, I feel like they're going to allocate a lot of their resources and time to something else rather than the balance of the game in this next update. So yeah, anyways, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.